Our group will be talking about the effect that race and gender have on an individual's choice to pursue higher education in STEM fields. First, we will be covering the background of the issue, the problem, the importance of this issue, and how it connects back to our course. Only 26% of women with STEM degrees go on to work in the STEM field, whereas 40% of men with STEM degrees work in the STEM field. In 2015, only 11.2% of bachelor's degrees went to minority women, and lastly, women make up only 29% of the STEM workforce. These numbers show that there is a disparity in the amount of women in the STEM field, and that this gap covers both academic and professional fields. In the early 20th century, women mostly worked as housewives and in other domestic areas. Women who were in science-related fields were found within women's colleges and other areas that did not go against male domains. These women were often left with poorer workspace conditions, paid less than men, and not credited for their achievements. As the years have progressed, women have started to earn more life science degrees, but still fall behind in technology and math fields. The disparity for women of color was first brought up by Malcolm, Hall, and Brown in 1976. They spoke about how women of color often face a double oppression of their gender and race, which prevents them from gaining equal footing in STEM fields. There are a few reasons for why this gap exists. Men have been believed to be cognitively better suited for STEM fields, especially those of technology and math. Over the years, many studies have been done to refute this claim, and researchers have found that there is no scientific support for the idea that either gender is smarter than the other. Unfortunately, this notion still exists and is embedded in the culture of STEM. Another issue is the lack of interest that girls have in pursuing STEM careers. Only 5% of girls have reported to have an interest in going into engineering, whereas 24% of boys report interest. This is influenced by their perception of success within the given field. Lack of representation for girls and cultural norms often further this issue. Women often find that postgraduate opportunities are not as appealing to them as they are for men. This is a result of dissatisfaction with their departments, issues with faculty leadership, research support, and their own responsibility within family. Lastly, the overall environment of STEM majors pushes women of color out. They are faced with a prove-it-again bias, which is when these individuals are expected to prove themselves at a much higher rate than their peers. Two major problems come to light when looking at this issue. First, girls and women who consider STEM for their future undergo stereotype threat. This is the idea that people fall into the roles that are perpetuated by stereotypes about their own social groups. This idea that women and people of color are not good at math and science is often furthered by the lack of representation found in these fields. Implicit bias, which is the presence of unconscious beliefs that people hold about others, can affect their perception of those around them. This becomes an issue when faculty and peers in STEM departments view them in certain ways. The culture of STEM departments also contributes to whether one chooses to pursue that field or stay in that field. The specific culture of a department is built on the expectations, assumptions, and values that the people within that department hold. This affects how the classes are created, how the faculty interact with the students, and how they organize activities. STEM is seen to be a field that is more for men than women, and the motivations and goals of STEM are often based around the goals of men. This leads to the notion that there is only one way to be in a STEM field, which results in women often feeling alienated in these fields. This problem is important, as a lack of perspective within STEM fields leads to a lack of diversity in the advancements that come from these fields. Diversifying STEM fields, especially those of technology and math, will lead to advancements that more people can benefit from. Increasing the number of women of color within the STEM field will allow for greater representation for girls in future generations. This issue is relevant to our course as it approaches two topics that we have covered. As we stated, implicit bias is an issue in STEM fields. These thoughts affect how women of color in STEM fields are treated and how they view their own success. Intersectionality is also a key point in this issue, as the experience of women of color in STEM fields are impacted by both their gender and race. Their experiences are based on the intersection of these identities and the perceptions that people have of them based on these identities.
Now we will move into the intervention we are proposing, as well as other interventions that have been implemented previously. Our society is in a digital era, so when deciding on an effective intervention, we knew this would involve implementing technology. So we are using social media and a website for individuals to share their stories and to raise awareness of the underrepresentation of diverse groups in STEM. When awareness becomes widespread with this part of the intervention, legislative changes will be suggested to create lasting change. When deciding on an intervention, what works and what doesn't needs to be taken into account. In order to do this, consideration for the reason why underrepresented groups in STEM have certain attitudes related to STEM, and how, with this intervention, we can encourage these groups to want to enter the field and be confident doing so. While it is important to encourage underrepresented groups to enter into STEM fields, that starts with changing the environment in STEM majors and fields. Trying to combat stereotype threat along with encouraging inclusivity in the workplace is needed. So everyone in every field needs to be educated on inclusivity in higher education and in the workplace. In alignment with stereotype threat in STEM for diverse groups, a dissertation by Joseph mentions that the expectancy value theory of achievement motivation stereotype threat states that the expectations for success can influence an individual's performance, and that it would be possible that female STEM switchers and persisters differ in terms of their expectations for success in STEM careers. This means that women feel more pressure to succeed in STEM than their white male counterparts, as they realize they're standing on being underrepresented in the field. It was also mentioned in an article from Inside Higher Ed that the same stereotype threat affects other minority groups, such as people of color. So the same pressure to succeed is felt by people of color as well. Overall, with stereotype threat, it looks at how the pressure felt by these individuals can impact how they perform, which could be leading to the high number of underrepresented groups leaving STEM majors. Knowing this, the choice for an intervention had to be one that would counteract stereotype threat and rather than scare certain individuals away, encourage them to enter the field. In order to combat stereotype threat, it will involve academic faculty, professors, parents, and any individuals who have an impact on these groups of individuals' academic experience, not contributing to stereotype threat by adding unnecessary pressure. Stereotype threat can be presented in different ways by either explicit reminders of a stereotype or more subtle implicit cues, result in students' underperformance and low academic motivation. The article on academic procrastination in STEM mentions that even posters and magazines in STEM classrooms that are male typical can cause stereotype threat. This intervention targets the masses. Rather than targeting individuals in the field specifically, this targets everyone in order to show everyone and individuals in the STEM field alike the issues within STEM. In a lot of instances, real change isn't created unless a large number of people know the issues being presented, as this holds groups accountable for fixing these issues. Overall, this mainly targets underrepresented groups in STEM, as the goal is to combat stereotype threat for these individuals. This next slide looks at the steps for the intervention, which begins with creating a nonprofit organization that will start as an Instagram page that will grow the audience for the issue. Then a website will be created to promote change, gain support, and sponsor events. Lastly, once awareness is widespread, legislative changes will be proposed in an effort to spark lasting change for this issue. Social media is one of the biggest promotional methods for activism today. We can look at the success and awareness that has been brought to movements such as the Me Too movement and Black Lives Matter. And while our society will forever be working on creating an environment that is inclusive to all individuals, promoting awareness holds people accountable so that individuals or groups of people cannot ignore these issues. We created an Instagram to provide a platform for people to share stories of how they integrated into the field, as well as looking at the struggles and obstacles diverse individuals faced when integrating into STEM. Another goal is to encourage more people of diverse backgrounds to feel welcome to enter the field by implementation of inclusion and diversity, and by trying to relieve some of the added pressure to these individuals to combat stereotype threat. The Instagram account, as pictured on the right, will begin as an outlet to share personal experiences in STEM, to raise awareness and support for underrepresented groups in STEM. The organization is called STEM Stories, and even as it grows and develops, this nonprofit will remain STEM Stories. Next, we have the website that will be used to promote change. The first image is the home screen that will pop up when the website is opened. The image below the first image is where the latest news in the industry will be shared, as well as positive occurrences for underrepresented groups in STEM. Beside the first image is the events section where the organization will sponsor events that align with their goals. Underneath this image is where individuals can donate to the effort of creating change. The About, Mission Statement, and Vision Statement sections give an overview of the organization and its objectives. This slide also gives an overview of the website and its objectives. As said with the prior slide, this website is being created with the intent of raising awareness to the masses, raising support for change, and promoting change in STEM. With legislative changes, some have already been presented, such as in May of 2017, the STEM Opportunities Act bill was introduced in order to promote diversity in STEM by providing guidance, data collection, and grants to underrepresented groups. Yet this bill has not been passed and will not help in keeping these individuals in STEM majors or fields, as it promotes diversity but doesn't combat stereotype threat, as the added pressure for these individuals to perform is still there. With this being said, something needs to be done that will encourage minority groups in STEM to stay in STEM majors, as this will help with stereotype threat and the high number of underrepresented individuals who leave STEM majors and fields. The creativity of this intervention lies with the audience it is reaching. Reaching the masses will create buzz and increase support for this intervention. It uses the concept from successful interventions such as the Me Too movement and Black Lives Matter, which due to social media and a large amount of media attention became global movements. Using this concept for reaching a broad audience will allow this intervention to leave a lasting impression, as well as have a high probability of success, and potentially spark change globally. Most people look internally when trying to create change, but this intervention goes beyond the STEM field.
Some interventions and research have already been done by society. In an attempt to help all individuals feel more included in the STEM world, companies have been created to provide services such as training, education, and provide research. ETR is a company that provides expert information on inclusiveness in STEM and provides programs to support it. ETR has been a safe place for individuals to go and respect each other's differences. Society's main way for encouraging inclusion in STEM has been educating and spreading awareness on the issue at hand. Blogs, magazines, and corporations will post articles and research they have done. Many of the articles include keywords such as biases, stereotypes, and breaking the common mindset. Their articles cover the topics of lack of women, people of color, and LGBTQ in STEM majors and work fields. The topic of equality has always been a struggle for women and people of color. For centuries, they have fought for their rights and to be seen as equals to men. Specifically, STEM has always been viewed as a man's workplace. The experiment done by Kevin D. Finson proved the point that society views science to be a man's place. All high schoolers involved in the experiment drew what they viewed to be a scientist, a middle-aged man in a lab coat. STEM has become overwhelmingly full of men, and this discourages women and anyone else to choose this career path. All individuals can provide valuable insights and viewpoints when it comes to STEM and should be encouraged to pursue them no matter what the majority is. To summarize our intervention, we will be using social media in an interactive way. Our social media pages will be a safe place for individuals to interact and share personal experiences. Our website will be a place to raise money and gain sponsors. We will also be posting our inclusion events here for many to attend and meet new people. In the end, we hope that many people will support us in promoting inclusion and support legislation changes for the issue. We believe the STEM field should be a place where all individuals are welcome. Having diversity in our STEM workforce can only improve our research and our futures. On this slide, you will see the supporting evidence done by many different studies that there is, in fact, a lack of diversity in STEM. Women only make up 26% of STEM workers. You can see this number has increased since 1970 when it was only at 7%, but it is still currently very low. White men also have the highest percentage of STEM workers, with Hispanic men coming in second. Women of all races are the lowest percentage of STEM workers. This map shows the average number of STEM degrees attained from men and women in each country. The United States has 568,000, China has 4.7 million, Russia has 561,000, India has 2.6 million, and Japan has 195,000 STEM degrees earned. These last two slides show all of our references used throughout the project.